Welcome back to Real Talk, the show where we sit down with real investors, doing real deals, and uncover what's actually happening in today's market. Today, we got Treston Graham in the building. Now, what makes Treston's story different is most of the wholesalers I sit down with, they may be running like a one-trick playbook, but Treston is running a big machine. We're talking about real volume, real team, and real systems. The kind of operations most people in this space talk about, but they never actually do it. And the name says it all, Graham Slam. He's not a nickel and diming ways through the entire business. He's swinging big, he's scaling hard, and he's been in the trenches long enough to know what exactly works and what is not working. Preston, thank you so much for being with us here, brother. Now, can you give us a quick intro about a little bit about yourself, your journey, and where exactly you're doing deals?
Man, so I appreciate you guys for having me on. Like you said, my name is Treston Graham. My LLC is Graham Slam Property, so that kind of sets the standard here. I've been wholesaling going on about 4 years now. I've been through it all, through the trenches, not knowing when the next deal was going to come. It took me about 6 months to get my first deal. And from there, man, it just, the deals just kept coming. One thing about me, though, is I've never really stuck to one thing that was working, and that's been my biggest issue.
Hmm.
It wasn't until like the last year and a half where I truly just went all in on what's working. And that's what really anybody should be doing, right? You don't want to try new things unless what you're doing is not working. Um, you know, I would say last year we were doing a lot of PPL and it just, tore the business apart. It was bad. Nationwide PPL, in my opinion, is just a broken system. And I think if you think you're going to put a lot of money into PPL and you're going to get rich, that's just not how it works. And so we have recently switched over to smaller markets, markets that don't have a true ARV. I'm literally calling sellers who have never been called before, offering them dirt cheap or dirt money for their properties, 5K, selling them for 10, 15K. And like I said, there's no competition. And it's just, I've tried to tell a lot of people about it, and everyone's scared of small markets because of PPL. Typically,
Yeah.
when you get a PPL lead in a small market, they want, way more than what anything in the market's selling for. But if you go for
Hmm.
the properties that are just destroyed and been vacant for 20 years, you can sell them dirt cheap. Not everybody who's buying our properties are investors. If
Hmm.
somebody like if I saw a property in my market for 10K, I'm gonna buy it,
Yeah.
because there's like a threshold and you're at the bottom. But yeah, so we switched over to that. We're doing like two to three deals a month. Um, and now we're also getting into luxury wholesaling. So this year's been awesome. Now we're trying to scale the luxury side, bigger checks. And yeah, man, it's been great. I'm blessed. Thank God.
Amazing. Amazing. Now, there's a stat, right? Like, you know what? Which goes something like 90% of the new wholesalers, they quit inside the first 90 days. Now, why do you think that particular cliff is so brutal? What specifically do you do to get past it?
Well, stop listening to all the gurus online. This is not a get rich quick scheme. It's not, you need to be putting in the work. You need to be following up. You need to be consistent. Consistent is the number one thing. Stop searching on YouTube. Just stop. What do they call it? Analysis paralysis? Stop
Yeah.
that. Take action. I almost did the same thing until I started getting closer and closer. And then I was like, wait, well, this is real because I almost closed this deal and I almost closed this deal. So I just kept going.
Hmm.
But I think if you're just starting and you feel like you're quitting, get off the internet and just
Yeah.
do what you know. Whatever you've taught yourself, do it. If it was up to me, I would hop on the phones and just keep calling lists. And if you're not getting good connection rate or good leads, get out of that market and try a different market. We hit markets under 20,000 population. I
Mm.
just did a deal in January in Wrightsville, Georgia. I think it has a population of like 2,000 people. So
Wow.
back to your question, I would say the reason why most wholesalers quit is because they're chasing what that guru's telling you to do. Every guru tells you to hit these huge markets, but dude, the amount of money that the big wholesalers are pumping in it, you're at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
You're going up against it's like an AAU team playing basketball going up against an NBA team. It's just not,
Hmm.
you're not going to get a deal in those markets.
Yeah. I mean, there's like too much competition in those spaces.
Way too much competition. I mean, even when I was doing close to like 7K in marketing, it was still rough for us a month.
Hmm.
7K a month in market, it was rough.
Yeah.
Now we have no competition. No competition. Like these people are like, wow, well, I've never thought about selling it. And I
Hmm.
even ask people sometimes, I'm like, hey, Do you get a lot of calls about this? No, I've never had a call about this. That is gold. That is just money to my ears. It's like diamonds. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like you come in those untapped markets, establish yourself as one of the lead players, and then you know what? Let's say if they're friends or someone who wants to maybe sell a deal, you're always going to be the first person they're going to think of.
Right. Like we're in a market right now, Forest City, Arkansas. I've been in it since November. I've been
Hmm.
working with one buyer. He's bought in 10 deals. I
Wow.
can show you on my phone today. I just texted him three more deals because nobody's in the market. I am beating this guy properties. Yeah, the margins are smaller, the assignment fees are smaller, but dude, I'd rather get
Yeah.
a three, four, five, six K assignment fee than be sitting
Yeah.
at my computer getting cussed at all day. All because these people, their phones are being pounded. So yeah, man,
Yeah.
that's my opinion on it. A lot of people love to disagree with that, but I can show bank statements, wire transfers, it works.
Yeah. I mean, the bank, what do you call like the money in the bank says otherwise. I
Right,
don't care what you guys have to say, but it works for me and I'm more than happy with it. If you don't want to play in my market, good for me, more for me, right?
right.
Now, I love the name, Gram Slam. So be honest with me. Would you say, that was that confidence from day one, or was that, would you say, betting on yourself before the results were there?
So I don't want to get a little too personal to keep you here all day, but a lot of people don't know this. So I moved to Florida. I probably should have said this when we first started, but when I moved to Florida, man, I moved here for a business opportunity and got burned. I
Mm,
met my fiance and we had been together like 6 months. I had maybe 12 grand saved up. I burned through it. The business that I came here to start, I got burned. I didn't know what to do. Long story short, a buddy sent me a flip with Rick video
mhm,
and I watched it, got into it. And I did it for probably 3 or 4 months, found out she was pregnant.
mhm,
No money in the bank, no 9 to 5. And I just full sent it, right? And we ended up naming my son Banks, and my fiance is really big into baseball.
mhm,
So my last name is Graham. So instead of a grand slam, like baseball home run, I was like, you know what, Graham Slam, and this will be something I can pass down to my son. And fun fact, I literally did not get a deal until she was 8 months pregnant. She had just stopped her job and the world was on my shoulders. Like, and then the deals just started coming in, coming in, coming in. So yeah, that's where we got the name from. But confidence is always there, baby. And we're
yep.
here to stay.
Amazing, amazing. And I love the background story too, and kind of,
Good.
inspiring to know what that name actually means and the backstory behind
Right.
it.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to let's say, let's talk about the deal flow. What would you say is your current deal flow look like? Let's say how many leads coming in, how many of those would you say is turning into contracts, and like what's your fallout rate from the contract to close?
So a lot of people are gonna think I'm lying when I say this, but I I preach it. I go to TikTok live almost every day. I preach it. I have one cold caller. He's calling 4 to 6 hours a day. He brings in
Hmm.
anywhere from 3 to 5 leads, and we're
Hmm.
targeting smaller markets. Right now, we're doing like one every 15 are going under contract, and if they go under contract, typically they don't fall out. We haven't had a contract fall out in probably 3, 4 months. The
Oh,
reason
wow.
is we're
Bro, I
working
would
with,
say, what?
huh?
Knock on the wood, keep it that way.
Oh yeah, yeah. But the difference is in these smaller markets, when you find a buyer, we've built trust. I just send them the property first, and they give me a price, and then I run it back to the seller, negotiate my fee, and then we do it that way. But yeah, man, we're closing one in every 15,
Hmm.
and we're getting anywhere from 3 to 5 a day. And he's not even my cold caller is not even doing 8 hours a day. It's minimal 3 to 5 hours, and yeah, it's great. Now, people are gonna think I'm crazy and bullshitting. I can show you numbers. I can back it. I don't know why. I guess all the gurus got everybody scared of these smaller markets, man. But excuse me, it's a gold mine for us. And I
Hmm.
tell people on TikTok, I'm like, dude, go get in smaller markets. Trust me, but I'll just
Yeah,
keep
but
eating.
yeah, I mean, nobody wants to do all of that. They're like, what, smaller market, there might not be enough deals, and I might just end up wasting money and resources over there. And
Yeah.
they all want to, what do you call it, compete against the big players, where you know for a fact that you have no chance against going up against these guys.
Yeah. And my market, the only marketing we're doing is cold calling. So I think the dialer's $200 a month. If you wanted to factor in the CRM, you can that, but
Yeah.
it's just cold calling a couple hours a day. And like I said, these people aren't getting called. So we're getting our contact rate, I think, is like 8%. So it's really good. I mean, 8% when you're calling 200 leads, it's not bad. It's pretty
Yeah.
good. So
No, I think that's kind of good tempo. Now, this is where it's gonna get interesting. The fallout rate, which nobody talks about. So obviously, as I mentioned before, like operators, they love to post, "Hey, I locked up another contract." But what would you say? How many of those actual contracts are closing? What's the real fallout rate in this business? Not for, let's say, the market which you're working in, because I know you work in
yeah.
a extreme untapped market. But let's say on a general basis. So, what would you say is a real fallout rate in this business? And why is nobody on YouTube actually talking about deals dying between contract and close?
Right. That's a good question. If I had to guess, I would say probably 40% are falling out of contract.
Hmm.
You know, and I could talk to you about this for hours. I love wholesaling. It's gave me a life where I could provide for my family. But the amount of people that just make a good wholesaler, somebody who does business good, bad because they don't know how to run numbers, it's just insane. Let me show you this really quick. I don't want to
Yeah.
get off track, but I was hoping you'd ask me something about this. I got this text early or yesterday.
Hmm.
So I don't know if you can see that. So he sends me the details, all
I
the
can see.
details right here. And it says asking price 635, ARV 750. Sent me a Google Drive. Roof, no reported issues, 12 plus years old. HVAC, unsure of age, new plumbing, new floors. And I said, well, this one isn't for me. If you assign them, I'm done flipping. You can assign all my properties. If you have buyers flipping at 4% ROI.
Hmm.
He said, there's some room in the price. I said, can you explain how? And what do you think the repairs are? He goes, it doesn't look like much. Did you take a look at those photos? It looks like a pretty nice house. I'm not sure what the repairs are. I'll look into it.
Hmm.
Why are you a wholesaler not running repair numbers? That is just mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is that contract is going to fall out. They are not closing on that. And the seller thinks they're getting it was
They're getting the
655.
655. Yeah. They have not actually run the proper comps behind.
Yeah, so that's where it gets tricky because, like, yes, contracts fall out constantly, but are you being a good wholesaler and running your numbers right? Not saying that's the only reason why they fall out.
Yeah.
Someone could just go as a seller and try to screw you over, but most of the time, I believe most of the time a contract falls out is because a wholesaler's not running his numbers right.
Yeah. I mean, like the thing is, at the end of the day, you need to present the number to the buyer, right? So let's say if you have not done your math properly and he gives a number, and then let's say when the deal is about to get closed, you run these numbers, you're like, oh my God, I'm not actually making anything out of it. And then everybody tries to make everything complicated. And that's what I noticed from a lot of people who, I don't know, who share their stories with me.
Yeah. One thing that we try to do is I've always been really big on using a calculator when it comes to, running numbers. So like you put your
Hmm.
ARP, investor profit, your repair cost, and it'll run all the numbers for you. I won't lock something up that I know. Like if you're seasoned in this game, you know that you can't sell it. Now, if it's a little tight,
Yeah.
maybe I'll try or I'll try to vet it out first to some trusted buyers, but I try my hardest not to back out of contracts. It's just an uncomfortable conversation that you have to have.
Hmm.
And it's just not good business in my opinion. Now, like I said, I do know contracts fall out. There's a bunch of different reasons why,
Yeah.
but my contracts will not fall out because I didn't run my numbers right. And that's how if you're in this game, that's how it should be. Like if you have contracts that are falling out because you ran your numbers right, you got to do better.
Yep. No, well said. Well said. Now, a second part. And I think this is gonna be kind of interesting for you too. So, like a lot of people, what, I don't see anyone making, what the title. Sorry, let me just rephrase that. So here's a take. I don't see anyone making like title companies and closing attorneys. They kill more wholesale deals than bad sellers, bad buyers, and bad markets combined. Would you agree with it or disagree with it?
So I would agree to it to a certain extent because I have vetted in the beginning, like if you're just starting out, yes, but there's a way to avoid that, and it's
Hmm.
building relationships with title companies or attorneys. I've had several title companies. We actually just had one a couple of weeks ago in Arkansas. The seller wanted to use his own title company, and we used them. and she ended up running to me and the buyer, basically saying, "Oh, this seller's a scammer because they had a lien." Well, it took me like 3 weeks to get the payoff from the bank.
Yeah.
And the title company wanted nothing to do with me. They were
Hmm.
ignoring my emails, and it's like, dude, it was just a lien.
Hmm.
So definitely vet. I would say definitely try your best to vet a title company and attorneys. You can always go to Facebook and
Yeah.
ask in some groups, for good title companies. But if you're just taking your deals to random title companies, they will ruin your deal. You need people who are on top of it, know what they're doing, know what a wholesale transaction is, or your deal's going to get screwed.
Makes sense. And I
But
think
I,
that's,
I don't know. I don't know if I would say that. What did you say before? If that's the top reason
yeah.
why?
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
think that's the top reason, but it
okay.
is the big reason.
It is one of the reasons. So so my question was mainly around like a lot of these wholesale deals are like getting killed because of title companies and closing attorneys. But there would, obviously there would be like other reasons such as like bad sellers, bad buyers, and also bad markets combined. So
Right.
I just want to know whether if it's more on the title company and closing attorney side or on the other side.
I would say on the other side.
Got it. Now, like obviously we hear a lot about virtual wholesalers, right? And how much they're dominating these local markets. So let's say Texas and Florida operators, they're running deals in markets which they never set foot in and outproducing the locals who've been there for 20 plus years. Now, do you think is there a geographic arbitrage when it comes to the next era of wholesale? Or is it just a bubble waiting to pop? Let's say when something goes wrong on a deal, they can't physically touch. What's your take on it?
Say that again. You're breaking up a little bit.
Oh, testing.
You're good
Hello.
now. Let me
Okay.
see.
Yeah. No, it's okay. I can. We can read on the question. So the thing is, we have editors, right? So they're just gonna clip it up and then they're gonna
Okay.
remove all the fluff. So it's totally fine.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. One of my question is about virtual wholesalers eating the local markets. So we know Texas and Florida operators, they're running deals in markets which they never set foot in. And they do claim, they're outproducing the locals who've been there for 20 plus years. Now, my question is there a geographic arbitrage when it comes to the next era of wholesale? Or do you think this is just a bubble waiting to pop? Because when something goes wrong on a deal, they cannot physically do anything about it, right?
I don't think so, man. With AI and all these different marketing channels, I mean, man, there's some wholesalers out there who are 1920, just beast. I mean, I don't think it's a bubble waiting to be popped. I think a
Mhm.
lot of the people that are in their local markets who have been doing it for 20 years, they're just old school and they don't want to
Mm.
switch over.
Yeah. So
Um,
it kind of makes sense, right? When the new guys come in, even if they're not even based locally, they're still able to outperform them.
yeah, especially with all the scripts that people, there's a lot of gurus out there that give you good information and good scripts, man. And somebody young on the phone who's, just smooth, crisp, dude, they're just untouchable when it comes to somebody, who's I would compare it to like most people have talked to like an old school realtor. They do things old school. They don't want to do this new they don't want to do anything creative. They just want to put something on the market and wait for it to sell. So yeah, no, I think the new wave of wholesalers is dangerous because they're good, which means there's more competition.
Yep. And I think it's interesting. Now another part. Let's flip it up a little bit. So some of the wholesalers, you know what, they doing pretty good. First month, they did pretty well, and they want to immediately scale. Like, you know what, maybe tap more markets, maybe hire more people, hire different channels, also double their marketing spend. But when people start doing that, they kind of like what do you call like end up blowing their bank accounts, and that's actually one things we notice about scaling more wholesalers, especially when they try to scale without doing their proper due diligence. Now, is this something which you actually notice in the market, or people are like, you know what, you scale, you can easily catch up and make more money? What's your take on that?
So I've been that wholesaler. I have blown through money trying to scale. In my
Mhm.
opinion, in wholesaling, scaling is the hardest thing to do. One, hiring people is very hard who are going to
Yeah.
stick around because at some point they're going to know just as much as you know, but they're going to want to go do it themselves. So you're constantly having to fire and hire. Um, I think I see it a lot. I know a lot of people who stress. I know some people who've done very well in wholesaling and they had to go get a job because they went to scale and they started doing all this marketing and PPC and meta ads and they burn a hole in their pocket and they're sitting there. I think that it's very hard to do.
Hmm.
I think if you're at the point where you feel like you need to scale, just be more patient. Do more research, be more patient. You don't have to scale everything at once. Try hiring somebody first. Maybe get another cold caller. Maybe add text blasting to your business if you're not doing that. I do small instead of just, getting that 50K check and like, oh, I'm putting 10K in PPC, I'm putting another 10K in meta ads, and we're gonna hire three VAs. And I would just say take it slow. That was one of my biggest issues.
Hmm.
But, I've really just switched up everything I'm doing. So I have a low overhead, but I'm making money every month and it's what works for me. So I'm going to continue to do what works for me.
Yeah. It's like, you would say your operating expenses are on the lower end. So whatever you make, you have a good amount of margin after everything is taken for business expenses, right? Nice. Now, this is something I know is kind of interesting, especially when it comes to wholesaling, because talking about exit strategies, because at the end of the day, there is no business particularly to sell, no brand equity, no recurring revenue. And it's sort of like, what? The second you stop hunting, the income somewhat stops. Now, Graham, sorry, now, Tristan, what would you say you're building that you can actually walk away from? Or would you say you're just self employed with extra steps?
Are you asking like what I'm building my business or?
Like, what would you say, what your exit strategy? Let's say,
Oh, my exit strategy is I really like growing up, I wanted to be an architect. So I'm just building this as much as I can and
mhm,
until I can start getting my own properties. And they basically
mhm,
just build a portfolio. I just got into luxury wholesaling and
yeah,
I absolutely obsessed with it. Like the past year, I don't grind like I did in the beginning. I was doing 12 to 16-hour days, like just slaving at my computer. I've kind of cut back a little bit, but doing this wholesale or the luxury wholesale, I'm obsessed with it again. I mean, I'm at my computer probably 10 to 14 hours a day right now.
hmm,
So my goal is to land a couple luxury deals. I don't know if you guys know luxury deals. Typically, you're looking at six figures. I got a buddy who just did a 250K deal in LA. I'm working a few in Winter Park. So definitely, waiting to get a couple luxury deals under my belt, and then I'm gonna pivot. Now, I'll never leave wholesaling because it's always something you can fall back on, and it's
yeah,
good money, right?
yeah,
But definitely pivot into obviously, like I said, building my own portfolio and
yeah,
getting into luxury building.
yeah. No,
You
the
know,
thing with,
luxury
yeah,
development.
no, the thing with wholesaling is that you need to keep grinding in order to actually make it work. It's sort of like the second you
Consistency.
stop doing it, the income somewhat stops. So, and I think that's one of the key takes because a lot of people, they into wholesaling is sort of like you can get money, you can flip property, you can make money out of it, but you need to keep doing this on a regular basis or let's say on a daily basis in order to see that income coming on a consistent basis.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, and I'm one of these people, is, at a certain point you get burned out because when you
Yeah,
are wholesaling, the cold hard truth is you are sitting at your computer all day. If
yeah,
you're not working, your business is not growing. You don't, if you go take a week vacation, that's a week of no leads coming in if, you're the only one doing something.
yeah.
When text blasting or cold calling or offers. So I think a lot of people, they burn themselves out. For me, like I said, I've toned it down a notch. I found something that works, and I'm gonna pivot. And when I pivot, still gonna have a little wholesaling operation, but I'm going big. I'm trying to go big, and that's luxury and buying investment properties.
Nice. I think luxury wholesaling. I think that's like the first time I'm hearing much about it. Sorry, the first time I'm hearing about it. Can you give me like a little bit more like detailed breakdown of what exactly that looks like? And let's say someone wants to get into sorry, I'm going to repeat that part again. Now, luxury wholesaling is something which I've not heard much about it, and I think this is my first time hearing about it from you, Tristan. Now, let's say someone wants to get into luxury wholesaling. What would you say they need to look out for, or the things which they need to be prepared for in order to get into that space?
Well, it's new. Not a lot of people are doing it. So, if you're looking to get into it, you need to get into it now. I got a good friend of mine, good homie, Tyson Smith. A lot of people know him. I wouldn't say good friend, but we're friends. We have each other's number. He helps me out a lot. He hosted a webinar. I think he's done like five in the past couple months,
Hmm.
basically showing how to do it. I didn't do the course or anything, just knowing what I know in wholesale. I kind of pivoted and started messing around and got everything together to be able to, try and do it. So basically these buyers, they're coming in and they're buying houses, anywhere from 100 to a million in some markets over the Zestimate. Well, if there's one thing
Mhm.
you know about Zestimate, call them PPL leads. They
Yeah.
all want 50K over that Zestimate.
Yeah.
Well, I'm reaching out to people who, again, probably aren't being called. And I literally just say, hey, John, sorry if I called you at a bad time. My name is Treston. Just giving you a call to see if you would entertain an offer for your home over market value.
Mhm.
Now, so this is new. I'm still working on the script, so I know you're gonna have an opinion on that. But it's great, man. You can go in, and none of the repairs matter because the builder is just gonna come in and knock the house down and put a $3 million house there or whatever the numbers are in the market. Uh, but there's really nothing to watch out for. Just be careful. Build a buyers list with builders, developers,
Mhm.
and start reaching out to people.
Would you say building the buyer list for luxury wholesaling, would you say it's like tougher and harder compared to the regular one? Or
It's so Tyson says it's easy. It's been very hard for me. I've had to email, I've had to call 1,000 times.
Mhm.
I think it's very, very hard to get hold of builders, but once you do, keep them close, build that relationship, and I promise you it will go a long way.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, guys, if you are hearing about this, I think this is some new avenues which we hardly talk about. And I think Tristan is one of the persons you got to reach out to if you ever think about maybe getting into luxury wholesaling. So he can maybe guide you guys on what to do, what not to do, and a couple of things you got to keep in mind, especially when you want to enter a space like this. Because obviously, if you want to make good money, it's not easy. You got to go through a due diligence process. You got to take that hard steps. But maybe Tristan can guide you guys. Maybe skip 1 or 2 steps so that you don't make the mistakes.
Right. All my
Now,
socials are it's Treston Graham. Ask me any question, I won't charge you. But if you get a deal, I just ask you JV it.
fair enough. I mean, that's that's more than enough. Now, I know we are almost towards the end. So a lot of times what we do is like instead of like what I do is I ask the guest, you know what, I'm gonna be doing a marketing channel thing. So where I put you on a spotlight and I want you to walk me through like how would you rank these different stages. But for your case, I'm gonna actually walk you through different stages of a wholesale deal. Let's say from the second a lead comes in all the way till the money hits your bank. And I want you to tell me at each stage where the money is actually being lost, like where the deals die, and where the operator bleeds out without even knowing it is. So S tier would be the top, the best tier on how on the best part, and D tier would you can say you know what it's sort of like the worst. So let's say S tier, I would say most deals would die here. This is where the bleeding actually is. D tier is sort of like there's never an issue. Deals rarely die at this stage. Get it?
Okay.
Okay.
I would say, wait, are you gonna name them or you want me to name them?
Oh, no. I'm gonna giving you a couple of pipeline
Okay.
stages, and I want you to rank them whether if this is gonna be an S tier, sort of like, hey, a lot of deals die over here. This is where the most deals are getting killed. D tier is sort of like, hey, things are pretty good, not that much of an issue. Very rarely things happen. And A tier would be like, you know what? So it's sort of like S is the worst. D is sort of like not that much of an issue.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna be throwing a couple of pipeline stages, and I just want your help in ranking it with me. First one would be lead intake, the quality of the leads the second it comes in. What stage would you rank it under?
D.
D. So, got it. What about first contact, getting the sellers on the phone?
Getting the sellers on the phone.
Yeah. Would you say is like that's the place where most of the deals die, or would you say, you know what, not a minus, like it's like sort of like a minus stage, like a low fallout, or never an issue?
I would say D.
D. Qualifying, figuring if the deal is even real or not. Would you say that's S tier or D tier?
S tier. Wait, just real quick, we're gonna.
Yeah.
So I'm confused. So S tier is where deals fall out. D is where they don't.
Yeah, D is when there's never an issue. It's sort of so think of it this way. Let's
Okay,
say,
well then the lead qualifying is D because if it's not a lead, then it's not a lead, right?
yeah, you know what? Let's do this one thing. Let's do the tier system once again so that we can have the smooth flow.
Okay.
I'll get through. I'll just tell you this thing in advance. Okay. So I'm just gonna give you one pipeline. It's gonna be lead intake. Just have to tell me when it comes to lead intake, would you say it's ranking S tier or would you rank D tier? S tier is a lot of deals just die over here. This is the worst part to be in. A tier is lesser, B tier is even less, C is less, D is almost no problem.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now I'm going to run that script once again so that we can cut it up easier. Okay. Now, Tristan, I'm going to be walking you through the actual stages of a wholesale deal from a second a lead comes in all the way till, let's say, the money hits the bank. And I want your help in telling me, at each stage where the most money is actually being lost, technically where the deals die. And also, I want to know where operators bleed out without even knowing how it is happening. So, S, A, B, C, D, based on how brutal the stage is. Higher the tier, more deals die there. Got it?
Okay.
Yeah. So, just to keep it short again, S is where the most deals die. This is where the most bleeding is. All the way till D is there's never an issue. Deals rarely die at this stage. So, let
Okay.
me know when you're ready, and I'm going to throw a couple of pipelines to you.
Okay. I'm ready.
Cool. Lead intake.
If you're not calling them right away, like 2 to 3 minutes, it's gonna die. So I would put that probably at C.
Fair enough. What about first contact, getting the sellers on the phone? Okay. What about qualifying, like figuring out if the deal is even a real deal?
S.
Okay. Appointments or walkthrough?
C.
Okay. What about offer presentation?
S. Actually, no, no, I take that back. We'll do C.
Mhm. So we say, what, like when it's offer presentation, it's like not, it's like a stage, you would say, right? Less fallout happening at that time.
Oh no, no, then S. S. With S.
Okay. What about contract signing, locking it up?
A.
Like a lot of like deals do get killed over there, right?
Well, I feel like if you have the right systems and you've followed your shit, you've been on
Mhm.
top of it, and you've built that relationship with the seller, you sending them a contract um should not be maybe B just because contracts do fall out because of
Yeah.
terms, wording, but I never send over a contract and not go over it with them on that phone call. I try my best to not let a seller off,
Hmm.
the phone if I'm sending them a contract. So we'll do B between B and C.
Okay, fair enough.
I
What
gotta
about,
stop ranking these off of what I do and like
yeah.
look bigger picture. So my apologies.
Oh, no. At the end of the day, bro, you're the expert over here. We're going to be basing on what you think is best. Now, inspection period.
S.
You would say a lot of deals get killed over here during the inspection
Yeah,
period.
I feel like a lot of people do not like inspection periods and they still put it in their contract.
Hmm.
Or not put in their contract, but I was thinking of earnest money. Yeah, just sellers don't like inspection periods because typically in their head, an inspection period is when we're going to come in and just, get the biggest price cut that we can get while they're under contract. So I would say
Yeah,
that's probably an
makes sense. What about title work, like clearing liens, judgments, any deed issues?
A.
A. Okay. Buyer assignment,
Say that again.
like finding the right end buyer.
I would put that probably at a B. If you run your numbers right, you won't have an issue getting a buyer, especially if they're
Mhm.
vetted. So, but I would say B because some buyers do buyer things and disappear or back out last day. So we'll put that at a B.
Got it. And finally, the closing table.
A.
Okay, fair enough. So, of all the stages you put in, like S or A tier, like what would you say, what's the most operators don't realize they're losing money at?
I don't even know. Losing money. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's a million different ways that you can make a little bit of extra money.
Hmm.
Maybe like closing costs.
Hmm.
I don't know. I typically Yeah, man, I don't know. What's an answer that people usually give? I don't.
It's like I make sure that I ask different questions for everybody because I want to make sure that we tell what do you call it, different hooks, different stuff, and everything. So we can cut this part out. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I typically when I get a deal bet, if it's assigned, I just assign it. I don't really look to. I never really can make my assignment fee bigger. If I have, if I'm happy and I have an assign, a buyer that's going to sign the assignment of contract, I'm good to go, man. Like I don't need any more. Let's let it rock.
Yeah. Well, Tristan, thank you so much, brother, for hopping on this podcast with us. I think this has been pretty insightful. You were able to shed light on some of the things which people are scared to talk about, especially on social media, right? Like everything about, hey, man, everything about contract closing and how many deals are actually getting closed on the real side. And obviously, you also talked about like the mindset, the habit, the skills, which actually separates like really good wholesalers who are actually doing it for more than 5 years to the ones who are just burning out in the 90 to maybe like 120 days. And I think that's real talk. And I think that's something which a lot of people really want to know and really want to inspire and get into it. So, Preston, I appreciate you for swinging this one with me. And for the ones who are watching, how do they get in touch with you if they ever want to like know about luxury wholesaling or maybe get some tips and advice from you? Or
Yeah, man.
at the end of the day, if they want to like maybe JV a deal.
Right. All my socials are it's Treston Graham. And I'm not just saying this because I'm a part of Closure Control, but if you guys aren't with them, man, it's insane. You have five, six working. I think it's five brothers working together. They all have wholesale experience. They have a huge team that's basically 24/7 customer support, multiple weekly meetings, and they are constantly trying to make their software better for users like myself. So, yeah, man, highly recommend it. But yeah, if you want to find me, you have any questions, I'm not going to charge you for a course. I'm not going to charge you for 30 minutes of my time. Shoot me a DM on Instagram or TikTok. I'll answer any questions. And yeah, man, if I teach you something and you go get a deal, I just ask you bring it back to me. Let me JV, man. Let's break bread together.
Yep, definitely. Well, guys, if you find this podcast of value, please share it with your friends, family, or maybe someone who just want to get into wholesaling. So, well, guys, that's it for today's podcast. We have the man, the legend, Preston Graham over here with us, killing it in the space. Now, guys, tune in next week where we're going to coming up with new guests, new stories, and new episodes. Till then, we'll catch you on the next episode of Real Talk. This is Deon from this side, signing out.